So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, chapter 15, text 7, 8, 9. So 7, 8 are no purports. So we will recite the verse, text 9. Eke karmamaya niyagyan ज्ञानिनो यज्ञवित्तमः आत्मसंयमने निहा जुह्यति ज्ञानदीपिते एके कर्ममया नियज्ञान् ज्ञानिनो यज्ञवित्तमः आत्मसंयमने निया जुह्यति ज्ञानदीपिते एके कर्ममयान् यज्ञान् ज्ञानिनो यज्ञवित्तमः आत्मसंयमने निया जुह्यति ज्ञानदीपिते एके कर्ममया नियज्ञान् ज्ञानिनो यज्ञवित्तमः आत्मसंयमने निया जुह्यति ज्ञानदीपिते एके कर्ममयान् यज्ञान् ज्ञानिनो यज्ञवित्तमः आत्मसंयमने निहा जुह्यति ज्ञानदीपिते एके कर्ममयान् यज्ञान् ज्ञानिनो यज्ञवित्तमः आत्मसंयमने निया जुह्यति ज्ञानदीपिते एके कर्ममयान् यज्ञान् ज्ञानिनो यज्ञवित्तमः आत्मसंयमने निया जुह्यति ज्ञानदीपिते एके कर्ममयान् यज्ञान् ज्ञानिनो यज्ञवित्तमः आत्मसंयमने निया जुह्यति ज्ञानदीपिते So we'll first read verse 7 and 8 and then the translation, and then we'll come to verse 9 and we'll go for word meaning, translation and purport. न दद्यात् आमिषं श्राद्धे च सद्या धर्मतत्त्ववित् मुनि अन्नै सत्परा प्रीतिर् यथा न पशुहिंसया. Translation. A person fully aware of religious principles should never offer anything like meat, eggs or fish in the Shraddha ceremony. And even if one is a Kshatriya, he himself should not eat such things. When suitable food prepared with ghee is offered to saintly persons, The function is pleasing to the forefathers and the Supreme Lord, who are never pleased when animals are killed in the name of sacrifice. Text 8. Naitadrisha paro dharma nrinang sadharmang ichchatam nyaso dandasya bhutesu manovakaya yasya. Persons who want to advance in superior religion are advised to give up all envy of other living entities, whether in relationship to the body, words, or mind. There is no religion superior to this. So now we'll go for word by word meaning of the text 9. Eke some karma maya resulting in a reaction such as the killing of animals, yajnan sacrifices, jnaninaha persons advanced in knowledge, yajnavittamaha who know perfectly well the purpose of sacrifice, atma samyamane, atma samyamane by self-control, aniha who are without material desires, juhati execute sacrifice, jnana dipite enlightened in perfect knowledge. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Because of an awakening of spiritual knowledge, those who are intelligent in regard to sacrifice, who are actually aware of religious principles, and who are free from material desires, control the self in the fire of spiritual knowledge or knowledge of the absolute truth. They may give up the process of ritualistic ceremonies. Purport. People are generally very much interested in karma kanda, ritualistic ceremonies for elevation to the higher planetary system. But when one awakens his spiritual knowledge, he becomes uninterested in such elevation and engages himself fully in Jnana Yajna to find the objective of life. The objective of life is to stop completely the miseries of birth and death and to return home back to Godhead. When one cultivates knowledge for this purpose, he is considered to be on a higher platform than one who is engaged in karma yajna or fruitive activities. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sopradantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Uttapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatha Nitang Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपीश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते तप्त कंचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो मावदन्नाय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नमने गौरतिसे नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे So here in these verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Narad Muni is instructing Maharaj Yudhishthira about the behavior of civilized human beings. In the previous chapter, Narad Muni has already described about ideal householder life, and he had established that how the Brahmins, who are the head of the society, are to be worshipped and to be fed in all ritualistic activities. And in this chapter, Sri Narad Muni, he is establishing the fact that what should be the behavior of such advanced Brahmins or Vaishnavas, those who are considered the civilized human beings in the society. So in these three verses, Narad Muni specifically describing the activities of advanced human beings. That means the Brahmins and Vaishnavas, those who are advanced in society in spiritual knowledge. So one may think when Narad Muni spoke about Brahmins should be fed, then next thing is giving their qualifications. Who are considered to be Brahmins? What should be their activities? What should be their behavior? So here in the verse 7, Srila Narad Muni is telling na dadyat amisham shraddhe. So in the previous chapter it has been described that a householder should offer oblations to forefathers and then he should feed Brahmins. But here Narad Muni is specifically instructing that those who are civilized human beings, they should not offer meat, fish and eggs as oblation in sacrifices to the forefathers. And not only that, they themselves should not also eat all these things. So these instructions are civilized, for civilized human beings. Because in the Vedas, there are different instructions for different types of people. Because in human society, everyone is not in the same mode. There are three modes of material nature: the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And accordingly, people have different likings and they perform different activities. So, those who are in the mode of ignorance and also passion, sometimes or all the time, they are attached to unclean habits, like eating meat, fish, eggs, all these things. So they are in the mode of ignorance. And for this type of people, even if they will be instructed that you don't eat, still they will eat. They will not follow the instructions. That's why some regulations has been given in the Vedas. Vedas are meant for these three kinds of people who are in three modes of material nature, how they should act. So, for this type of people in the Vedas, there are instructions given which are restricted instructions. Okay, they can offer in sacrifice and they can eat. But actually, the Vedas were meant to offer the animals in sacrifice just to test the power of the mantras, not for actually eating. But somewhere it is mentioned that those who are addicted to meat, fish, and other things eating, they can kill the animal in the Amavasya night, offer to the goddess, and then take as prasad. So all these things are there, and some restrictions have been put to discourage them to come to a platform when they would not eat all these things. But these instructions are not for higher civilized human beings. These instructions are meant for those who are in the mode of ignorance. So here Narada Muni is specifically explaining about the behavior of civilized human beings. Because civilized human beings, they don't eat meat, fish, eggs, all these things. Because if one has to eat all these things, that means he has to kill an animal. And killing is not recommended in the scriptures. Killing for satisfying the tongue is not recommended in the scriptures. That's why it has been stated that one should not offer these things in the sacrifice while performing sacrifice to satisfy the forefathers. These things should not be offered as oblations. And one should not eat himself all these things. So that means one should be in the mode of goodness at least. The civilized human beings, those who are called civilized, they should be at least in the mode of goodness. These instructions are basic instructions of religious principles. There are many more higher things, but these are the basic things that one can be called religious, and then he should practice more higher things. So these civilized human beings, they are not supposed to eat all these things. That means they are not supposed to kill other living entities for the satisfaction of their tongues. Nowadays, in Kali Yuga, we see the definition of civilized human beings has changed. People think that if someone is materially educated, very, very educated, he's a BTech, MTech, or doctorate, or he's in a very good position in administrative service or police service, so they are considered civilized persons. And not only they are considered, they themselves also think they are civilized. But if we see their personal life, though they have acquired a material position in the society, but if we see their personal life, they do all nonsensical activities, such as eating meat, fish, eggs, that means killing animals. They drink, and then they do illicit sex activities, and also they do gambling. So they do all these 4 types of things, which are not actually supposed to be done by civilized human beings. So by material position, one cannot be a civilized human being unless one follows the basic regulatory principles of the scriptures. And these 4 things have been regulated for civilized human beings. The civilized human beings are not supposed to do all these things. Neither eat meat, fish, eggs, nor drink, nor do illicit sex, or no gambling. Then only one can be considered a civilized human being. He might have no better educational qualification, or he might not have a good position in the society, but if he is pure, following all these principles, he is pure in heart, and then he is cultivating knowledge. That thing will come in the next verse. Then one will be considered a civilized human being. This is the description of the scriptures. So here, Narad Muni states that Muni annai sath para pritir yatha na pasu hinsaya. Muni anna means foodstuff prepared for the saintly persons. And who are saintly persons? Those who are actually devotees of Krishna. They are the saintly persons, sadhu. Because nowadays also in Kali Yuga we see someone is wearing saffron cloth, and then he has developed beard and hair, then he is considered a sadhu or a saintly person. So we consider generally from external dress, but we don't know what is their internal behavior or internal consciousness. So sadhu means he must be a devotee of Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that those who are always thinking of me, apichet sudurachara bhajante mang ananya bhag sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hisa. If someone is only thinking about me, na anya, he is not thinking about anything else, then sadhureva samantavya. Then he is to be considered a saintly person. And the saintly persons, they don't eat anything which is not offered to Krishna. They only take Krishna prasad. So, Krishna is very much pleased when someone offers him with devotion, patrang puspang phalang toyam यो मे bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti paritam asnami prayatatmana. So Krishna says, if someone offers me a leaf, a flower, a fruit, a little water with devotion, then I would eat that. So that means Krishna does not say about meat, fish, eggs. He does not eat these things. Sometimes people ask us, why do we don't take onions and garlics? They are vegetables. But Krishna does not take onions and garlics. That's why we don't take. This is the simple answer. Whatever Krishna takes, we offer to Krishna with devotion, and we only take Krishna Prasad. So if Krishna would have taken, then we would have taken this. So, because onions and garlics, they are food in the mode of ignorance that agitates the senses. And we are trying to control our senses. That's why we don't take those things. And it is not offered to Krishna. So, whatever Krishna takes, or what is offered to Krishna, we only take that as his prasad. And by taking Krishna prasad, we become purified in consciousness and also in body, in bodily terms. So in this way, it is stated that the Lord and the forefathers, they are pleased when this Muni Anna is offered. Means the food, pure vegetarian food offered to Krishna, which can be taken by saintly persons. When that prasad is offered to forefathers, then forefathers are very much pleased with that. And Krishna is naturally very much pleased when pure vegetarian food is offered to him with devotion. So the whole idea of offering sacrifice to forefathers is to please forefathers and get them rid of from the hellish condition of life. But how the forefathers will be pleased and get rid of hellish condition of life? Not by offering meat and fish, by offering Krishna Prasad. And forefathers will take Krishna Prasad, they will be relieved of their sinful reactions. And they will be relieved from hellish condition of life. And they are very much pleased with that, with the descendants in the family, when they offer Krishna Prasad. So in the scriptures, all these things like Pinda is offered in the Shraddha. So Pinda must be Krishna Prasad. When even someone is dying, we are performing funeral ceremony. Whatever Pinda is offered to the dead person, that is also first offered to Lord Vishnu. Then it is offered to forefathers or the dead person. So in all the scriptures, this has been recommended. But sometimes people don't understand the purport of offering these pindas. That's why they manufacture so many things from their own mind. They don't follow the scriptures. So, in this way, naitad idrusa paro dharma nirang sadharma ichchata. And then second thing, in second verse 8, Narad Muni is speaking about the behavior of an advanced person, civilized human being. And this is Narad Muni in his own statement is telling, this is Paro Dharma, the supreme religion. And what is that? Na etadrusa Paro Dharma. There is no other religion like this supreme religion. And what is that? If a person wants to follow the supreme religion, then naso dandasya bhutesu manavak kaya jasya. That a person should not be envious of other living entities by body, mind and words. So when someone is not envious to other living entities, what to speak of only human beings, to all living entities, with body, mind and words, then he is considered to be following the supreme religion. That means a person should not be envious to other human beings or to other living entities. This is the basic nature. Because of that, we have come to this material world to suffer again and again in this material world. Because originally we became envious of Krishna, so Krishna sent us to this material world, dukkhalayam asasata, in the place of miseries. Because we became envious of Krishna and we thought, why should I serve Krishna? Let others serve me and let me take Krishna's position. We become competitors of Krishna. So this envious nature is there. And then when you come to this material world, try to enjoy, then we don't care for other living entities. For our own enjoyment, we kill other living entities. For our own enjoyment, we harass other living entities out of enviousness. We blaspheme other living entities, other human beings, just to satisfy our own false ego. So in this way, actually we create trouble in this society. That's why this type of persons who are under the clutches of envy, false ego, lusty desires, anger. So all these things, like 6 enemies, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, masterja, illusion, and greediness. So those who are under these 6 things, they are not very advanced in their behavior. That's why Narad Muni says that one must give up these things. And specifically, he is mentioning about envy. Envy is the root cause of all these problems. And we are suffering in this material world because of this envious nature of others. And we are making others' life and our own life miserable. Because we see always fault in others, don't see faults in ourselves. And a person who is serious to make advancement in spiritual life, he must see his own faults and try to rectify those faults. Then only one can make advancement in spiritual life. But as long as we go on finding faults with others, we will create for others and also we create trouble for ourselves. And we will never make any advancement in spiritual life, we will go down to the hellish condition of life. So, Narad Muni is cautioning in this verse for advanced human beings that one should never become envious by body, mind and words towards other living entities. And at least in this way, one can perform superior religion, become a religionist by not becoming envious of others. And in the third verse, text 9, Narad Muni says, Eke karma mayan yagyan jnanino yajna vittama. So here he is taking us further to a higher understanding. In the previous two verses, he spoke about the behavior of civilized human beings, that how they should not offer meat in fire sacrifice and they should not eat meat. Second thing he said, that one should not be envious of other living entities by body, mind and words. And now in the third verse, text 9, he is taking us to a higher realm. And he is here telling, karma mayan yagyan, jnanino yajna vittama. All these sacrifices performed to make advancement in materialistic life. Like sometimes people perform fire sacrifices to go to heavenly planets. Sometimes people perform fire sacrifice to get progeny, to get sons or daughters, whatever. Specifically sons. That is called putrashti yagya, because everyone wants son. So, through fire sacrifice, one can achieve even higher planetary systems. But that is not the goal of our life. To attain higher planetary system is not the goal of our life. That's what Narad Muni says, those who are yajna vittama, those who know the importance of fire sacrifices, the purpose of fire sacrifices. And what is the purpose of fire sacrifices? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktarang yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheswaram srudan sarvabhutanam jnata mang santi mritsati. One can attain peace in life when one will understand this, that he himself is not the enjoyer, but Krishna is the enjoyer of all sacrifices and all austerities. Why? Because he is Sarvaloka Maheswaram. So he is the supreme controller of all the planetary systems. That's why Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. We are not the controller of all planetary systems, so we cannot become the enjoyer. We are to be enjoyed by Krishna. We are Krishna's creation. We are to be enjoyed by Him. We cannot become enjoyers. And when we try to become enjoyers, then problem comes in our life. That's how we cannot get peace in life. So, yajna vittama, who know the purpose of the yajna, that means that Krishna is the enjoyer of the yajna, fire sacrifices. He is the purpose of fire sacrifices. To satisfy Krishna is the purpose of fire sacrifices. One who understands this, yajna vittama, jnanino, that means when one is in perfect knowledge, one will understand that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices. Atma sayamana aneha juhati jnanadipite. So, the person who is advanced in knowledge, he will come to this understanding that Krishna is the purpose of life. The purpose of our life is to take shelter of Krishna and go back to Krishna. That's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bahunang janmanang ante jnanavana mang prapadyate. If anyone is in knowledge, after many, many births, after cultivating knowledge for many, many births, one will come to this understanding that Vasudeva Sarvang Iti. Lord Vasudeva, the son of Vasudeva, means Krishna. He is the goal of everything. So this is the understanding of the person who is really in knowledge. If someone has material knowledge and he does not understand what is the goal of life, then his knowledge is useless. When one understands the goal of life through knowledge, then that knowledge will bring him to the higher status of life. That Krishna is the goal of life, then he will work to satisfy Krishna. And in that way, he will go back to Krishna, getting rid of the sufferings of this material world. It has been also stated in the scriptures that if actually one wants to acquire knowledge, and if one really wants to know the goal of knowledge, then it has been stated, Alodya sarva sastrani vicharyaja punah punah. Means Alodya sarva sastrani. By going through all the different scriptures, by studying all different types of scriptures, and vicharyaja punah punah, and then considering again and again on the purport of all different scriptures, eka eva sunisparnam, then at the end one essence will come out. If one will think over the essence of different scriptures, then one essence will come out at the end from different scriptures' essences. And what is that essence? Dheya Narayana Sada. That Lord Narayan, he is to be meditated upon. This is the essence of all the scriptures. And Krishna says the same thing in Bhagavad Gita. Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji mang namaskuru mame vasasi satyante pratijane priyosi. That, my dear Arjuna, always think of me. Dheya Narayana Sada. Then Krishna says, always think of me. Become my devotee. You worship me. Offer your respects to me. And you do this, if you do this, then what you will get? I am promising you, you will at last come to me. And going back to Krishna means no more birth in this material world, no more suffering in this material world, and we will enter into a life of eternal bliss and happiness. And that is the goal of life. And to attain that goal of life, one has to become a civilized human being at least. And one should understand what is the purport of all the scriptures. Like Vedas, Vedas means knowledge. And Vedas, though they are giving different types of knowledge, but Krishna again says, Vedesta sarve aham eva vedya. Among all the Vedas, I am only to be known. Because Vedanta kriti vedavid chaham. I have created the Vedas. Because the knowledge of the Vedas is coming from Krishna. So Krishna is the Vedakrit. He has given these Vedas. And because he has given the Vedas, he is also Vedavid. He is the knower of the Vedas. And as the knower of the Vedas, Krishna is telling, among all the Vedas, I am only to be known. There is nothing to be known else. There are so many Vedic scholars studying Vedas, reciting the riches of the Vedas, the verses of the Vedas. But they don't understand Krishna. They don't surrender to Krishna. So then their Vedic knowledge becomes useless. Because after studying the Vedas for so many years, they have not understood Krishna, the compiler of the Vedas, the knower of the Vedas, the goal of the Vedas. That's why their Vedic knowledge becomes useless. That's why we have to understand that what is the goal of life. And to understand that, at least we have to come to the stage of a civilized human being. And how to become a civilized human being? Narad Muni gives in these verses. That what should be our behavior? How should we behave? How should we control our senses? The civilized human beings, they control their senses. That's why Atma Sayomana Aniha Juhyati Jnanadipiti. Through this knowledge, one must control his senses. Understanding the goal of life is Krishna, then one must control his senses. Instead of letting senses go and enjoy, a person who is situated in an advanced stage of life must control his senses, and when senses are controlled, the mind is controlled, and when mind is controlled, one can meditate on Krishna very efficiently. And then one can make rapid advancement in spiritual life. So these are basic things given, but there are so many other things. Narad Muni also speaking that how a person who wants to become a civilized human being, who wants to become a Vaishnava or a qualified Brahman, then how he has to acquire all these samandama tapa saucha kshanti arjama vevacha jnana vijnana astikyam brahma karma svabhaja. All these 10 different qualities a Brahman must acquire and a Vaishnava also must acquire. That means a Brahmin must control his senses, a Brahmin must speak truth, that's a Vaishnava also must speak truth, never speak lies, control one's senses, one should not be duplicitous in his behavior, one should be very honest, and one should be very clean, one should be very desirous of performing austerity to satisfy Krishna. So all these things has to be done to come to the platform of Brahmin and Vaishnava. They are actually the advanced persons in the society, and they are the leaders of the society. When such civilized human beings will be in the society, naturally other members of the society will take guidance from them, and they can also make their life perfect. Hare Krishna. So is there any comments or questions? Hare Krishna. Okay. You want to take the mic?
Thank you for your very nice Maharaj. Very nice speech. So my question is, this doing Shraddha, all these things, and sometimes devotees also learn these things. And the devotees have an understanding of the forefathers. The Krishna said, if you worship the forefathers, you go.
Yes. Yes.
So my question is then this is not pure devotional service.
Yes.
It's combination, mixing something in with it.
Yes.
So my question is, if we criticize these people, are we envious of them? Are we really doing them any harm? Or are we just speaking the truth?
No. We are actually those who are advanced in knowledge. Means those who understand Krishna. They understand the higher principle of life. These principles are given, there are different principles are given to be followed in the society because people are not so advanced in knowledge. And once one come to the understanding that Krishna is the goal of life and Krishna is to be satisfied in all respects, then all these things can be ignored. And one can, just by performing devotional service to Krishna, one can even deliver the forefathers. Devarsi bhutaptan runam pitrunam nacha kinkaraya rinincha rajan. Sarvatmanaya saranam saranyam gato mukundam parihritya karta. So naturally the devotees might have these questions that whether we have to also supposed to do this. That means if someone just dedicates one life for the service of Krishna, just by serving Krishna, he will be released from all these debts from forefathers, from the sages, from the demigods, from the society or whatever. All these debts will be realized just by serving Krishna. That is the highest principle. Because people have not attained that highest principles, that's why for them these lower principles are given. But once one comes to the understanding of these highest principles, then he does not have to do all these things. If he totally has dedicated his life to serve Krishna, then automatically it has been stated, their forefathers, they will be also liberated. The person who is performing devotional service, he will be liberated. His forefathers, even 21 generations, not only one generation, 21 generations. If someone performs pure devotional service, they will be liberated. Because we have different kinds of people in the society. Everyone is not a pure devotee. So different understanding is there, different knowledge is there. That's a different rituals or ritualistic activities have been suggested. Hare Krishna. You have some questions? Yes.
So, he's always think of me and will be going back home without praying. So, if we meditate only on this one and instead of diverting our mind to other different scriptures and Vedas and this thing, so I think this is better just to think only about Krishna.
I could not get your mind.
He is saying, Lord is holy, you just think of me.
Yes.
So, we only think of Krishna and we don't understand whatever the things are misguiding us or they are puzzled in those fields. So, what we recommend, we should just think only of Manama and other things which are giving us what we should do about other things.
Just surrender to Krishna. By surrendering to Krishna, then Krishna will take care of everything. There are so many scriptures telling so many different things. But the essence of all scriptures is to surrender to Krishna. That is the essence of knowledge, to surrender to Krishna. Krishna is the goal of life. To understand this, that Krishna is the goal of life, and then one surrenders to Krishna. Then he will attain the highest destination. If one does this. And if someone cannot surrender, then he has to surrender to other things. Naturally. But the highest goal is to surrender to Krishna.
Just like we listen so many things every day, and we are sometimes bewildered in all this. So how much bewilderedness we can understand that we have to meditate only on this?
You see, if someone is in knowledge of Krishna and understands Krishna's instruction, then other things will never bewilder him. If you surrender to Krishna, why bewilderment comes? Bewilderment comes from Maya. When we are in Maya, then we are bewildered. If we surrender to Krishna, take shelter of Krishna, then Maya cannot touch us. Then there will be no bewilderment. If we are getting bewildered, means we have not surrendered to Krishna fully then. We have not taken shelter of Krishna. And once we take shelter of Krishna fully, like 6 kinds of surrender, it has been described, then Maya will never bewilder us. And we don't care for other things. Our goal is one-sided, Krishna. And how to attain Krishna? Why we should look here and there? We will look here and there when we have doubt. When we have doubt on the path we are following. If we have doubt, then we look here and there. Then we will become bewildered. Hare Krishna. Jai Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.